Delaware may be small, but there's one road mystery that's too weird to dismiss. Multiple delivery drivers over the years have reported seeing a marked ramp labeled Exit 14, even though no such exit officially exists. One driver in 2022 said his GPS rerouted him through it during traffic. The ramp had no sign, just a narrow break in the tree line. He took it. The road wound through heavy woods before dropping him off at a strange gas station. No name, no lights, no prices. He tried to turn around, but every time he circled back, the station had changed slightly. First, the windows were open, then lights were flickering, then someone was inside. Eventually, he escaped, but his GPS still logged the stop, unknown road near station. Here's the kicker. Delaware DOT has no record of Exit 14, ever. No old plans, no construction history, no digital trace. And yet, drivers still report seeing it. Just once, then never again.
This story came from a guy named Jordan. He says it still creeps him out when he sees someone folding paper, even now, years later. When I was 10, I walked the same route home from school every day. Just 5 blocks past the park, across the old footbridge, then down a quiet street where the houses all looked the same. There was a bench near the footbridge, right next to the water fountain, and every day, like clockwork, a man sat there. He looked to be in his 60s, wore a blue windbreaker and dark pants. He never said a word. He'd just sit quietly, folding a sheet of white paper into different shapes. At first, I didn't pay much attention, but after a few weeks I realized he only ever used one sheet. Every day it looked new, crisp, pure white, and every day he folded it into something different, a bird, a frog, a star. Then, one Tuesday, he looked up as I passed, didn't smile, didn't wave, just looked, like he was trying to remember something about me. The next day, I walked slower. Tried to see what he was folding. It looked like a cube, maybe a die or a box. I glanced back when I passed, and his eyes were still locked on me. A few days later, I stopped walking by the bench. I took the long way home instead. Added 10 minutes, but it felt safer. I told my parents. They brushed it off. Said maybe he was just lonely or odd, but harmless. A week passed, then 2. One Friday night, I came home from a friend's house. My parents were out. The house was dark except for my bedroom lamp. I kicked off my shoes, tossed my backpack on the bed, and that's when I saw it. On my pillow. A folded white shape. Perfectly creased. It was a paper crane. I backed out of my room slowly, heart pounding. Every instinct told me to get out. But I forced myself to go back in and pick it up. No name, no writing, just folds. Sharp, clean, exact. I checked all the doors and windows. Everything was locked. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I told my parents again. This time, they took it seriously. We filed a police report. They checked the house, the neighborhood, even the park bench. No one had seen the man for over a week. I never saw him again. But the story doesn't end there. Years later, in college, I was cleaning out some boxes in my parents' attic. I opened one labeled Jordan School Stuff. Inside was a stack of old homework, notebooks, random drawings, and near the bottom, a small paper cube, same folds, same size, same paper. But here's the part I can't explain. Inside the cube was a photograph, a picture of me, sitting on that same bench by the water fountain from behind. I'm maybe 10 years old in it. The angle suggests it was taken from across the street. I never saw a camera, never saw anyone else there, and I definitely didn't sit on that bench. Since then, I've moved across the country. Different job, different city. But every now and then, I'll come home to find something folded. A tiny frog on my doorstep. A star tucked in my mailbox. Always the same paper. Always flawless. I never touch them anymore. I just sweep them into the trash and double-check the locks. But deep down, I know one day I'll look up, and he'll be there again, folding, watching, waiting. This story came from a woman named Marissa. She says it still makes her stomach drop when she walks past a bakery, even though she swears she's never gone inside again. There's a little bakery on Maple and 2nd that I used to pass every day on my lunch break. Bright blue trim, flower boxes under the windows, and that chalkboard sign out front with cheesy puns like, "Life is what you bake it." I never went in. Not for any particular reason. I just brought my lunch most days, and when I didn't, I usually hit the deli next to my office. But one Monday, I was starving and in a rush, so I decided to finally give it a shot. The door had one of those little bells that dings when you enter, but when I walked in, something felt off. No lights, no voices, no smells. The place looked like it should have been open, cases full of pastries, chairs pushed neatly in, the register light glowing green. But there were no employees, no customers. I called out, "Hello?" Nothing. I was about to leave when I noticed a small paper bag on the counter, right next to the register. It had a white receipt stapled to it, and printed across the top in bold letters was Marissa H. Paid, my full name, last initial, and today's date. I hadn't ordered anything. I'd never been in here before. The bag wasn't sealed, so I peeked inside. A lemon poppy seed muffin, my favorite. I hadn't had one in months. I looked around again, no one. The kitchen door was closed. Then I heard the bell behind me, but the door hadn't opened. I backed out of the shop slowly, muffin still in hand. It felt cold in my palm, like it had been refrigerated. Back at the office, I asked everyone if they'd ordered it for me. No one had. I even called the bakery. A woman answered, "Hi, this is Honey's Bakery. We're currently closed for lunch. Please leave a message." Except the hours on the sign said open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. No mention of a lunch break, and this was 12:45. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The bag, my name, the exact muffin I loved. I threw it away. Next day, curiosity got the best of me. I walked past the bakery. It looked different, dimmer. There was a piece of paper taped inside the window. "Closed for lunch," in red ink, sloppy handwriting. I looked through the glass. No chairs, no cases, just a bare floor and dust. It didn't even look like a bakery anymore. That night, I had a dream. I was back inside. The bell kept ringing, but the door never moved, and someone in the back was humming. The next morning, I checked online. There's a listing for Honey's Bakery, but it says it closed permanently 4 years ago. There are reviews from 2018, a handful, all 5 stars. One caught my eye. Walked in and found a bag waiting for me. Knew my name. I never ordered, but it was perfect. Can't wait to come back. The username? Marissa89, my handle. From an old blog I haven't touched since college. I never wrote that review. I called the number again. This time, a man answered. "Hello?" I froze. He said it again. "Hello? Anyone there?" I hung up. 10 minutes later, I got a voicemail. It was faint, muffled, just a voice saying, "Your order is ready. Come back soon." I've never walked that way again, and every day since, when I check my porch after work, I swear I catch a whiff of lemon. This story came from a guy named Trevor, who says he'll never trust his GPS again, not after what happened off exit 14. I've been driving delivery routes for 5 years now, mostly between Maryland and Delaware. I know the roads better than most, which is why this messed with my head. That day, I had 2 deliveries left in Wilmington. My GPS rerouted me because of traffic on E95. It said, "Take exit 14." I didn't remember that exit, but I figured maybe it was new or I just overlooked it before. Except, there was no sign. Just a narrow ramp barely visible between the trees. No lane divider, no reflective markers, but the GPS showed it clearly. I hesitated, then took it. The road dipped immediately, winding sharply into thick trees. The farther I went, the more it felt wrong. No other cars, no shoulder, just cracked pavement and overgrown brush closing in from both sides. Then it opened up to an intersection I didn't recognize. There was a gas station on the corner, one of those old ones with faded awnings and a sign that probably hadn't been lit in years, but something about it felt wrong. The place had no logo, no prices, no name, just a shell of a building with dark windows. I figured I must have taken the wrong exit or maybe the GPS glitched. I pulled over to check my phone, but no signal. Full bars 1 minute ago, now nothing. I tried turning back, but the road didn't loop the way I thought. I drove for 5 minutes and ended up right back at the same intersection. Like I'd made a full circle but never turned. The gas station looked the same, but something was different. The windows were open now, like the glass had slid up or was missing entirely. I kept driving. Took a left this time. It curved a bit longer, but after maybe 8 minutes I was back at the same spot again. This time, the lights above the station doors were on, flickering pale green, like an old sign trying to come back to life. I swear to you, there was never a sign there before. I stayed in the car and just stared. That's when I noticed movement inside. A shape. A person, maybe, standing just past the glass. I blinked and they were gone. I threw the car in reverse and gunned it. No GPS, no signal. I stopped listening and just picked a road, turning wherever it felt like I hadn't been yet. I kept driving, kept sweating. Finally, I saw headlights, an oncoming car, a normal one, then a highway sign. Welcome to Wilmington, exit 13. I pulled off, heart pounding. I was shaking so bad I could barely finish the deliveries. When I got home, I looked it up. There's no exit 14 off that stretch of road. Not in Delaware, not in Maryland, nothing in the system. I even asked one of the dispatch guys. He laughed and said I must have misread something. But I didn't, and the worst part? 2 days later, I checked my delivery van's GPS history. It showed a stop, marked only as unknown road, near station. That's it. I haven't taken a detour since. And I sure as hell don't follow unmarked exits anymore.